From cosmic glass found only in Australia, revealing secrets about an asteroid impact, more research into light pollution from satellites, and offshore wind farms are a boon to aquatic life. This is your wrap of the past 5 Talkin Science stories. Curtin University researchers have helped uncover evidence of a mysterious giant asteroid impact, hidden not in a crater but in tiny pieces of glass found only in Australia. The discovery centres on rare tektites, which are natural glasses created when a space rock slams into Earth, melting surface material and hurling it hundreds or even thousands of kilometres. The newly discovered type of tektites have so far been found exclusively in an area mainly within South Australia. These tektites are unique because of their unusual chemistry and their age, which is about 11 million years. Lead author Anna Mussolino, a PhD student at Aix-Marseille University, said. The study was part of a larger research project led by Emeritus Professor Pierre Rochette from Aix-Marseille University and highlights both the destructive power of past impacts and the importance of studying them. Approximately 96% of the images from some space observatories in low Earth orbit could be tainted over the next decade due to light contamination from satellites. According to an analysis published in Nature, the findings suggest that light pollution from satellites orbiting Earth needs to be minimised for successful astronomical research. The number of satellites orbiting Earth has increased to 15,000 compared with 2,000 in 2019, mainly due to reductions in cost to launch payloads. As satellites orbit, space-based observatories like NASA's Hubble Space Telescope that share the same space may capture streaks of reflected light, which may render the image completely unusable for research purposes. While previous work has explored the impact of satellites on ground-based astronomy, their impact on telescopes in space has been overlooked. Alejandro Borlaf and colleagues simulated the view of 4 space-based telescopes, including Hubble and SphereX, at orbits between 400 and 800 kilometres as the population of satellites grows. A projected 560,000 satellites may be in orbit in the future based on a database of planned satellite launches, which would contaminate about 39.6% of Hubble's images and 96% of images from other telescopes. Similarly, the authors predict that the average number of satellites observed per exposure will be 2.14 for Hubble, 5.64 for SphereX, 69 for ESA's telescope, and 92 for a Chinese space telescope. Just incredible. A study conducted by researchers from Murdoch University in Australia and Dalian Ocean University in China has found that offshore wind farms could improve marine ecosystems and diversify aquatic food chains. Several species of fish were also more abundant and had more than 2 times the biomass in the wind farm area. The findings of this study suggest that aquatic ecosystems could benefit from the construction of offshore wind farms and propose a multi-pronged approach to diversifying aquatic life, generating electricity and transitioning to clean energy. Dr. James Tweedley from Murdoch University's Harry Butler Institute said the impact on fish and other aquatic life was in large part due to the rough surfaces of turbine monopoles, providing a surface for sessile organisms. Those are the unmoving creatures such as barnacles and oysters to thrive. The study compared data from a Chinese offshore wind farm in the northern Yellow Sea with a control area without turbines around 6 kilometres east across 2023 and 2024. During this time, the wind farm area had enhanced detrital flow, higher maturity and overall greater ecosystem stability. While geographically different, China and Australia's oceans are linked by shared currents and climate patterns, creating similar conditions and climate challenges. Murdoch University Emeritus Professor Neil Longrajan, one of WA's leading fish and marine experts, said these findings provided a foundation for understanding how offshore wind farms interact with and influence ecosystem energy dynamics and fishery resources in coastal waters. Macquarie University researchers have fully mapped how noise spreads through quantum computers over time to show that glitches link together across different moments, creating a form of memory that undermines calculations. A team of Australian and international scientists has, for the first time, created a full picture of how errors unfold over time inside a quantum computer, a breakthrough that could help make future machines far more reliable. The researchers, led by Macquarie University's Dr. Christina Giamazzi, found that the tiny errors that plague quantum computers don't just appear randomly. Instead, they can linger, evolve, and even link together across different moments in time. The breakthrough opens the door to more advanced ways of modelling, predicting, and correcting errors in quantum devices, not just in superconducting chips, but also in systems such as trapped ions and spin qubits. Previous attempts to map the behaviour of quantum systems over time all hit the same roadblock. After measuring a quantum system mid-experiment, scientists couldn't freely set it up again for the next step because the setting up depends on whether the result of the measurement was a 0 or 1. The new method solves this by adding a clever twist, assuming that 50% of the time the result was 1 and the remaining time the result was 0. Then the researchers used software to work backwards with the data to figure out what state it was in. The team has made its experimental data and code openly available, and the full study is published in Quantum. Moss could survive in space for up to 15 years, according to international researchers who sent moss spores samples to the International Space Station, where they survived in the vacuum of space for 9 months before returning to Earth. The samples had an 80% survival rate and were able to successfully germinate when they returned to Earth. The researchers analysed how well the moss survived with a computer model, which predicted that the spores could have survived for up to 5,600 days. That's roughly 15 years. The researchers found that UV radiation was the toughest element to survive, and the sporophytes were by far the most resilient of the 3 moss parts. None of the juvenile moss survived high UV levels or extreme temperatures. The brood cells had a higher rate of survival, but the encased spores exhibited roughly 1,000 times more tolerance to UV radiation. The spores were also able to survive and germinate after being exposed to negative 196 degrees Celsius for over a week, as well as after living in 55 degrees Celsius heat for a month. The team suggested that the structure surrounding the spore serves as a protective barrier, absorbing UV radiation and blanketing the inner spore both physically and chemically to prevent damage. The researchers note that this is likely an evolutionary adaptation that allowed bryophytes, the group of plants to which mosses belong, to transition from aquatic to terrestrial plants 500 million years ago and survive several mass extinction events since then. In March 2022, the researchers sent hundreds of sporophytes to the ISS aboard the Cygnus NG-17 spacecraft. Once they arrived, the astronauts attached the sporophyte samples to the outside of the ISS, where they were exposed to space for a total of 283 days. The moss then hitched a ride back to Earth on SpaceX CRS-16 in January 2023 and was returned to the lab for testing. The researchers hope that their work helps advance research on the potential of extraterrestrial soils for facilitating plant growth and inspires exploration into using mosses to develop agricultural systems in space. More science and space news with an Aussie flair in 2026, plus the occasional science fiction podcast. Like, follow and subscribe for more. Membership helps me do more, so get on board and help out for the cost of a cup of coffee a month. The details at thetrek.zone/support.